A lot has happened in this past year.
And yet it feels like we have a long way to go.
We finally have a house update to share with you all.
We have some good news.
And we have a new obstacle to share as well.
Hold my hand and hear the words I say. Close your eyes and let us fade away. Build a secret place for you and me. And let our minds be caught up in a dream. Quiet voices in the night. Time is running out of.
Welcome to another episode in our East Tennessee Dream Build series, a series we started to help out other potential owner builders.
Or just general construction builds. This is all pertinent to any kind of build.
And it has been a minute since our last update. I believe that was almost a year ago that we did episode 4.5. We have a lot to unpack in this video, so I want to kind of give all of you who may be new to our channel a little background on us and how we made it here to Tennessee. We both retired early. Cory was in a profession that was a very high stress job, and he was eligible to retire at the age of 50. He did work a few years past that. And me, I was having some very serious health issues. It was pretty bad, and I was not dealing with that well. I wasn't doing well physically and mentally. And so we sat down and he said to me, you know, maybe you should think about retiring. And I wasn't eligible to retire until 56 and 8 months. I don't know what the 8 months, what that signifies.
Good old federal government.
Yeah. So anyway, I was not eligible to retire early until 56 and 8 months. And I was well under the age of 56. And we sat down and we crunched numbers and figured out, you know, how it would affect us financially, because that's, you know, we still had kids in school and there was just a lot, you know, you want to be able to survive. And I did take a pretty sizable pay cut to retire early. I'm making about a quarter of what I used to make. And when you remove 75% of your income, that's a lot. And, but we made the decision that we could do it. But we realized that we couldn't do it in California.
We sold everything that we could live without, and packed it up, found a piece of property here, and moved out here with the intention of having a general contractor build a house for us on our property.
And the primary reason to move here to Tennessee had a lot to do with our situation financially, because we knew that we were going to have to live on less income, and that just wasn't going to be feasible in California. And so we did move to Tennessee. There's a lot of reasons we picked this state in particular. We moved here, no family, no friends. So it was a big decision. It was a major decision in our life. But again, it was really to benefit us in the long run for our, you know,
health, finances, you know, to live.
So where are we now? We did do our last update about the HOA requirements that were being asked of us to build in our certain subdivision. And we have a whole video on that, so we're not going to rehash all those requirements. And if you want to see that video, I will definitely leave it linked below in the description box.
So while we were getting everything together for the HOA, it pushed us into a time frame where we weren't going to get dried in on the house when I wanted to be dried in. So it gave us through the winter months. It gave us an opportunity to work on our bid sheets, our scope of works, all of our materials, and get pricing on all that back in. So we fine-tuned everything. We fine-tuned each scope of work for each individual subcontractor, which
was a lot
Yeah,
of work.
a lot of work.
A lot of work.
And we've done it all. So
I think we should do an episode, primarily on scopes, and bid sheets
It's
and
really,
the contract that you'll need to also have that you'll send out to each subcontractor once you decide to hire them, and all the things that you should be looking for in a subcontractor, because that's all very, very important. You don't want to hire anybody.
Yeah. Like going into this 2 years ago, I would think I was ready to build the house because I've been around a lot of construction my entire life, but no way was I even close to being ready to build the house 2 years ago. This time, I mean, it's hard to believe, but this time has been a blessing in disguise for us because we've learned so much about this building process. It's crazy, and I think it can be beneficial for you guys too, if you guys are interested. I definitely have acquired a new appreciation for general contractors. All the work happens behind the scenes, and I mean, it's a lot of work, a lot of, you're breaking down a whole blueprint material list and making sure you're ordering the right amount. You don't want to be short for your framers. Everything's got to be right, and then dealing with your subcontractors, trying to get their bids down a little bit, and trying to get the best bid or, the best subcontractor for the job. So, I mean, it's definitely a big
It was a process.
project. Yeah. I have a newfound respect for general contractors.
So time frame, that took us through the winter months, and we were anticipating starting the build in the spring. But at this point, we were starting to get the bids back on some of the major items like the foundation and the framing and the roofing and, all the things that were the big ticket items. And we started realizing that the cost to build was a little bit more than we were anticipating. And originally when we started this idea of building our own home, we really wanted a place for family and friends to have a landing spot. Just maybe if they wanted to extend a stay here with us, that we could have a space for them, that they wouldn't feel like they were imposing on us. And so we were gonna build a secondary garage that would also house a place for our boat during the winter months, that also had a space above the garage to have just a tiny apartment, 1-bedroom apartment that had like a little small kitchenette for people to extend their stay with us and not feel like they were imposing
on us. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a great idea, but we soon realized that we don't know that. I mean, there probably was a point when materials, when there was materials were a little less expensive and interest rates were lower, and we could have probably achieved
I think 5 years ago, if we had made this trip 5 years ago.
When we wanted to.
Yeah, when we really first wanted to. I think that things would have been different, but the pricing here in Tennessee has definitely increased to a level that we did not foresee. Yeah,
we didn't anticipate it being this expensive.
And so we quickly realized, once we started getting some bids back, that the secondary garage apartment idea was going to have to be tabled. We don't want to say that we won't build it in the future, because we would love to, but we just realized that it just wasn't in the cards for right now. The house was the most important part of the build.
Yeah, and we're stuffing that house into a smaller box now too, so it's...
Well, and then we started getting other bids. I mean, every day I would be working on video editing, and he would run in with paper in his hand and he would say, "Do you know how much it costs to do XYZ?" And I'd be like, "No, how much does it cost?" And so...
the big variable for us is we knew we pretty much knew what material costs were for the stuff we were purchasing. But what we failed to realize is the demand in construction out here. So it took a long time for us to figure out a game plan, for me to hire a crew to do certain things to avoid having a subcontractor come in and just making hand over fist money on a small job. So, I mean... I guess our budget was starting to dictate what we could and couldn't do. I mean, I'd already picked out flooring, and we had to go back and revisit that because the flooring was going to be too much money, and the roofing, we had a idea to do. And she thinks we're past all that, but I will make her revisit it all again. If we can save another few dollars, we're going to do that too.
We had a certain vision going in, and we had to alter that vision, and that's fine. I mean, honestly, that's fine. We're okay with that part. But so at this point now, we have been getting the bids back, and we knew we needed to work on our budget. I want to preface all of this that's coming up to say that we had heard that it was very hard to get a owner builder construction loan, that a lot of banks really don't want to deal with owner builders. And for a lot of reason, you're not an experienced builder and things like that, and they don't want to take that risk because any new construction for a bank is a very high risk. So we had heard that it was going to be difficult to find financing, and we searched for a local bank here that did construction loans, and we called them and said, we're owner builders, would you work with us? And they said, of course, come on in. So at this point now, we had gotten, we had all our big ticket items checked off. We knew what those were going to cost. We sat down, worked through the budget, figured out
a timeline, a build timeline, our budget, everything dialed in. And like we said, we'd already gotten about 75% of our contracts back. So we knew we had hard numbers in front of us.
And we built a contingency as well into our budget for any unforeseen, because anytime, even if you're just doing a remodel, you'll things will happen.
And I felt like the contingency was sufficient. I felt like it was
we had like $10,000. Yeah, it was a
big chunk.
It was a big chunk.
So
we go in to meet with the loan officer.
Super nice guy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, just was funny. We had this really great rapport built up. So I made sure that we had all of our ducks in a row, and we went in shaking our tail feathers and saying, quacking our little happy tune and saying, here's all of our stuff. And he was just the nicest man and said, yes, I already called my manager. We would love to work with you. We also told him that he had his contractor's license, which he does. And so we really couldn't use it because as a contractor, you're really an owner builder.
Becomes irrelevant when you're building your own home.
Yeah.
A contractor license basically means you're entering into a contract with somebody, and you can't enter into a contract with yourself.
So anyway, he went through all of our numbers, everything. We took in our bank statements, just everything. We gave him everything he could possibly need, and we got a pre-qual letter. Now this is in April, of this year. And so we were like, whew, we dodged that bullet. We've got our pre-qual now. We know we've got financing. So now we're ready to submit to the HOA.
We had everything dialed in. There's no way this HOA was going to question anything we had.
Well, we had a laundry list of things that we had to check off to get it submitted. We had a fee to pay.
We paid a lot of fees out.
We paid about $5,000 in fees
just to get our application reviewed.
And then an impact fee that the subdivision was requiring of us.
Yeah, and they that goes back to us. They required us to have engineered foundation plan. There was a lot of little details in that we felt like we had accomplished and we were good to go. And they took it says that they could take up to 30 days to approve your build contract or your build process. So,
and we were very worried because in the CC&Rs for the subdivision, it said that they wanted you to have a builder,
a GC, a general
contractor. And even though he has his contractor's license, which he got because of this requirement, and because he wants to go into the trade, we were still concerned because, like he said earlier, you don't really enter into a contract with yourselves. And so we were very concerned that the HOA was going to battle us on this. So, continue.
So, they waited exactly to that 30-day mark and then shot us back some, what did they call them? They were...
Stipulations.
To the clarification stipulations to the approval. So we got them back. We went through them. Do you want to go into detail on those?
There were just, one of them was minor. It was, we had originally were doing stone skirting around the home, but because of budgetary reasons, we decided to eliminate the stone and just do all brick, and he wanted drawings.
So they made us go back and redo our plans, our elevation plans.
So we did. We went back to our draftsperson and said, can you give us new drawings that shows no rock? And he did. He did it really fast.
Yeah, a couple days.
And then the second stipulation was the one that we were the most concerned about. And they asked about his monetary limits, because his monetary limits are underneath what our build would require if he was actually contracting it out and bidding it for someone. So we got that stipulation back, and I wrote a nice letter and stated that we were not entering into a contract and that his monetary limits were not going to come into play. And then I also stated the state law here that says that we can be owner builders. You can be an owner builder in the state of Tennessee and build every 2 years on your own property, as long as you're going to live in it. You can't just do a property that you're going to sell. So we sent everything back to the HOA, and we got approved.
Yeah, pretty good.
So we now have our HOA approval, and we can start building.
Which was our biggest
hurdle.
Stress. I mean, it was a stressor.
Oh my gosh. For a year we stressed on it.
Yeah.
For a whole year.
We had a lot of rough days with that, because there was just so many little details.
Variables.
And a lot of money to get to that point. It's not stuff you can do yourself. You got to pay people to do everything. And then you're waiting on them. And you're at their mercy through each process until you check that off and you move on to the next one. You're at their mercy, and it was a long process.
And again, it's been a lot of work.
We're through it.
But we're through it. And we have that approval, and
hopefully they can't take it from us.
Don't even put that out into the universe. So we had our HOA approval.
Yes. But
you gotta go and burst my bubble all over again.
Mm-hmm.
So, to our dilemma now, we took our approval, our HOA approval, and we got all of our paperwork together to go finalize the bank loan.
Get the deed put in place.
Right? So we could start our build, because we now are going to start September 1. We are going to be starting that build, right? Okay, so grab all our paperwork. I update our bank statements. I update our income and everything, all the stuff that they're gonna need to start the loan application. We fill out the loan application, do everything we need to do to get this ball rolling. And nothing has changed in our situation.
Except for I got a cost of living raise.
He got a cost of living increase, so we actually even have more income. But nothing else has changed since April, okay? How do you feel going into this second meeting with the loan officer?
So this is exactly how it played out. And for me, we sat down, I handed him an envelope to make copies of for our file. He gets up and leaves, and I looked over at Jennifer and I said, something's wrong. This is not the same person.
Was no longer the jovial man we had just met with a few months prior. It was like somebody had just
flipped the switch.
He was just so different. It was like complete night and day. But we were like,
we were still optimistic.
When we had the pre-qual letter, everything was good. We have our HOA approval. We're like, hey, what could possibly go wrong? So, and we had been spending all these months in this dark tunnel, just waiting for the light at the end of the tunnel to appear. And it had finally appeared with that HOA approval. Little did we know, there was a train coming, and we still hadn't cleared that tunnel. And we leave the paperwork, and we go home, and we actually go to celebrate with some friends that we've made here. Lisa and Mike, we love you guys. Thank you for supporting so many things.
Yes.
We cannot even express the things that we appreciate and how much support you've given us. But we went and celebrated. 2 days later, we got the phone call. Your income's great. Your credit score is amazing. You have the 20% down. You have your reserves. Debt ratio's perfect. But we need an additional 20% in reserves, cash reserves, sitting in a bank account just on the off chance, because you're owner builders, that you'll go over your build budget.
And mind you, remember, we built in $55,000 contingency inside of our budget for overages.
And we also had another cushion in there too for what would be a contractor fee. So we technically had about $80,000 built into the budget for anything that could possibly go wrong. But I'm on the phone with him, and I mean, my mouth must have hit the table, because I was just like, what do you mean? You gave us a pre-qual letter in April with all the same numbers that we had. And he was like, well, we have a new policy in place. In the past, I think with owner builders, they've always required maybe an additional 5, 10, maybe even up to 15%, which is still a lot. But 20% of our build cost, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's huge.
That is not something we just have readily available. I mean, I wish we were those people, but
the train's coming right at us.
Yeah. So the tunnel has now closed off. We have a train coming. We're like, what are we gonna do? Where? Okay, so downward spiral. Sleepless nights for weeks. I would wake up in the middle of the night and start scrolling on my phone. Like,
It's gotta be a way.
Like Google is gonna have that answer for me, right? Like there's gonna be some magical answer that will appear. And so many sleepless nights that one night I was making myself sick. I was not gonna let this take me down. And so I started praying, and I asked God, I said, please, you need to show me the light. I've lost the light again, and you need to show me the light. I need you to show me the light. And that morning I went downstairs after I had prayed all night, and I came down to get my coffee like I do. I'm getting a little bit emotional, but I came down to get my coffee like I usually do. And I come down into the kitchen, and I see my husband, head in his hands, scribbling, puts his head back in his hands, scribbling. And I'm thinking, while I'm scrolling on my phone,
and all I'm theoretically doing is shifting this to this and shifting numbers around, trying to make this magical 20% appear. Well,
so while I'm looking for Google to give me the answer, he's thinking this piece of paper is going to give him some magical answer, right? And I looked at him and I thought, okay, he's downward spiraling in a different way. But so I went and I sat with him, and I said, we need to stop. I said, we've lost sight of what we should be truly and honestly thankful for. We need to stop and count our blessings right now. Right now, we need to count our blessings, and we did.
Yeah.
We have so much to be thankful for. And I think part of our dilemma was that we had sold a perfectly good home and made these decisions and plans to try to better our financial situation in the long run, going into the future. And, you know, we're not 30-year-olds that just have an abundance of time to, you know, like, oh, okay, well, we can do this in 10,
go out and make another $200,000.
You know, so it was kind of it was a lot of things for us to kind of digest and we were struggling. And so, but we are now in a very, very good place. I know that when that light reappeared at the end of the tunnel, once we realized, you know, what to be thankful for and counting our blessings again, we also realized that there's a reason for all of this.
Yes. So we're going to pump the brakes and get through November, and we'll see how things go from there.
We're not giving up. We're not giving up on our dream.
No.
And this has been a blow, definitely a blow, because like I said, we don't just magically have a couple $100,000, because it has to be in cash, just money on the off chance that we were to go over our budget, which is sad because we had worked so hard
on our budget
to
and getting
get
hard numbers,
you know, as good as we possibly could and pad it where we needed to. And so, yeah, that was a whole thing.
So we kind of took a step back and we looked at,
you know, interest rates in trying to figure out
and understand why the bank is requiring all this. But if you do, you look at interest rates, you look at the housing market right now.
Housing prices are up everywhere.
Yeah.
That's not just here. So inflation is killing us with the cost of materials. We don't want to build a home that's
for a $500,000 home for $1.2 million or whatever.
And only have it appraised in 8 months for this much and I think that's what the banks are really worried about.
I feel like this made us realize that maybe we needed to take a little break and wait and see what happens.
Yeah.
And
now we're pushing the winter months again, which is the same exact scenario
as last year.
We were in last year.
And so if we end up in spring of next year, wherever we end up, it's going to be for the best. I mean,
I don't even want to say we're going to start whenever, because I just don't. I don't want to say that. Right now, we are tabling the build until some future date. We also know on the flip side, by waiting, things could also potentially get worse. We're hoping, knock on wood, that that won't be the case, but we still feel like this is the right decision for us going forward. And let me ask you, do you think there is anything we could have done differently to have a different outcome right now, or do you think that?
No,
I don't.
There's things I would have done different, but I don't think it would have gave us a different outcome.
No, I don't think so either.
I could have saved us.
I wish I had known ahead of time that we would have needed all this money, but again, trying to be an owner builder is it is
and
a
the
difficult
stuff we've
task.
learned through this process is something we hope to pass on to you guys that are trying to do your own build, because we've made some mistakes, and they're not little mistakes. They're money saving things that
we thought we were saving money, but it ended up costing us more.
So,
and we want to give that.
Yeah, we want you guys to have that information if you guys do try to move forward. So, it's little things that you just kind of take it for granted, and you don't even really think about, this is cheaper, so we're going to go this route. But then in the long run, if it's required a different way, then it costs you twice as much.
And that's what this whole series is about. And we are definitely going to continue on with the series. Like I said, we'll do something on the bid sheets and the scopes of work and things like that. And we'll even talk about the lending situation. And we also hope that we haven't scared any of you that are thinking about being owner builders from actually doing it, because it really is doable. We have been hitting some major roadblocks, but it is doable, and we want to give you all the best leg up. And again, even if you're not going to be an owner builder, even if you're going to use a builder, all of this information is really good to have in your back pocket, even when you go to see a builder. So we just really want to...
Yeah, we want you guys to be able to learn from the mistakes we've made. And that's I think the most important part of our video is, and that's why we did it. We wanted to share this experience, so it's a learning for everybody.
We were hoping to have more DIYs to share with you with the build, because he was going to be doing a lot of extra things, building out the library, the vanity for the powder room, which is all still going to come, because we're still going to build the house. It's just not going to be right now. And I think we were kind of really looking forward to those kind of segments as well. But that stuff will definitely still be on the agenda.
Yep.
We want to thank you all so much for all the support and the kindness that you have been showing us through this crazy journey.
The support makes us get out of dark places at times, just knowing that you guys are there supporting us. So it helps us through some challenging situations.
Definitely, 100%. We are also so unbelievably grateful for everything that we have in our lives. We want you to know that this really just was just kind of a setback. Like I said earlier, we really were trying to financially, set ourselves up for our retirement years. And, that was just a little bit of a...
Little hiccup. We'll get past it soon.
Definitely. And I wanted to also tell you all, don't ever give up on your dreams. You're never too old to dream, and to never give up on those, because, where are we if we don't have dreams to look forward to and follow? So, and hard work, dedication, everything, all that matters. So just make sure you don't give up on your dreams. And again, we want to thank you all so much for being here with us today, and we appreciate again having you here and subscribing to our channel. And if you enjoyed today's video, please do hit that like button because it does help out our channel, and we will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.
The lights, look into each other's eyes. There's no one left but you and me. It's like a made-up place that